Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Context Live, episode 11. Now, we are doing the live again, or rather, I'm doing the live again because the 4 o'clock live, there was an issue in my apartment that I needed to resolve, but that issue has been fixed. So I'm really excited. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. For those of you who tuned in for the 4 o'clock show, my apologies, but if you know anything at all about our channel, about a platform, Speak Right Play, then you know that we strive to do things with excellence. And so I just couldn't release that video from the live earlier because it wasn't the greatest quality. And I always want to make sure I deliver the best quality content to you all. All right, so let's get right into it. If you have not seen it yet, I did a collaboration with a friend, Sherwin, on his channel. And so if you're still struggling with understanding the difference between learn and teach, I definitely encourage you to check it out. It's a 1-minute English video. Who knew you could learn English in 1 minute? But like legitimately, you will learn the difference on when to use teach versus learn in 1 minute. So the link is in the description of this video. Check it out. Leave your comments, like it, share it, and tell Sherwin how awesome I am and that he should have me back on his channel. All right, so one more announcement. Our online persuasive writing course is still accepting applications. Registration is open for this week. This is the last week to register because classes begin next week. Now, what is this class? You already, if you follow us on Twitter, then you know that we love grammar. I love teaching grammar. And so it's a grammar intensive course. So the stuff we do on Twitter is like a taste of the lessons. But in this course, we spend 6 weeks and we really learn and understand American grammar and how to fix those things that we're still struggling with. And I've had students in the class say, I've never really understood how this works in English before, and now I get it. And so there are still things in grammar, in American grammar, that you don't understand, in English grammar that you don't understand, then I encourage you to take this class because we go through the rules, we understand punctuation, we learn vocabulary words. I mean, there's just a host of things that we do. I mean, the amount of content we cover in 6 weeks is incredible. Right? So it's 2 hours a week for 6 weeks. And by the end of the course, you will have a better understanding of how to write essays, how to formulate arguments. So if you are in the business context and you're writing reports or you're trying to justify certain decisions, I highly, highly encourage you to take this class. Even if it's not for business, if you're a college student and you want to become a better writer, you're struggling with understanding how to write so your professors understand your thoughts, then I think definitely take the class. It's a small class, so each class no more than 5 students. So you really get one-on-one time. We go through some concepts together. And if you've been wondering what it would be like to attend class in an American classroom, that's how this course is structured. So from the syllabus to everything that we do each week, you get to learn as if you were in an American classroom. And I've been very intentional about putting the course together in that way. For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm redoing the live because I went live earlier, but there were some issues. So I'm just going to go through everything again so that we have a great quality video. Because if you know nothing else about me, I like to give out quality products and information and all of that, quality content. All right, let's keep going. Around the world. So I was reading on BBC, and some of you know I like BBC. I prefer BBC to other newspapers and news outlets. And there was an article by Justin Harper, and he was saying how there are fishermen in Malaysia who, when coronavirus happened, their businesses kind of tanked. And when your business tanks, it means it goes under. It means it's not doing well. It stops being profitable. And so because of coronavirus, their business was in the hole and they needed to figure out what they were going to do. So they were approached by some people, by a company, and they pivoted. They changed directions and they decided to take their business online. So they began to do e-commerce, selling their products. And basically the article was just saying how within the first 2 weeks, sales increased by 150%. Like, that's insane, right? You go from coronavirus hitting one day and you basically losing a ton of money because your source of income is gone because people aren't going out and they're social distancing and all that stuff, to profits increasing, or sales increasing rather, by 150%. And I think when we talk about innovation, this is a great move for the fishermen. Now, they may not necessarily stick with e-commerce. Maybe some of them are just doing it as a means to an end right now because they need income to support their families and all of that. But it just shows you that those things that we never thought could go online are capable of going online. And I said in a previous live that, you know, there are companies that would say you can never work remotely. Like, you need to be in an office to do this job. But if there's one thing coronavirus has taught us, it's that we can work remotely. Remote learning is possible. It might not be the greatest, and it's not a means to, it's not the ideal situation, but if you're in a crisis and you can't be face to face, then having the option to work remotely is phenomenal, and it works. So what do you think about that? What do you think about what the farmers are doing, taking the fishermen? I'm always tempted to say farmers. I don't know why. What the fishermen have done, taking their business online through e-commerce. Let me know in the comments section and we can talk about it. All right, so for pronunciation perfection, some of you may have missed the live where I actually showed the books I was giving away. And so I'm going to just remind you all of the books that I will be giving away. So basically, for pronunciation perfection, you write the dictate. I'm going to read a statement. You write what you heard me say in the comment section. And then if you get 4 of those correct, 4 of your dictations are correct, you'll be entered to win one of my favorite books. And I'm going to show you what those books are in a minute. And I have books for beginners, intermediate students, and advanced students. And it's basically just my way of saying, hey, here's an English resource. If you don't want it, if you can't use it, you're free to give it to your friend. And what I'll do is I'll either give you my copy or I'll purchase a copy for you and send it your way. So let's review the books that you have a chance of winning. This is Arthur's Reading Race by Mark Brown. Now, you may not like Arthur's Reading Race or want Arthur's Reading Race, but Mark Brown has a ton of Arthur books, and I love Arthur books. So if you don't want this particular book, I'm willing to work with you, and you can pick another Arthur book that you'd be interested in. We have 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini. Amazing book. I love it. It's wonderful. There's C.S. Lewis's The Great Divorce, Julia Alvarez's How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents, and my personal favorite, Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. So you have an opportunity to win one of these books by submitting your dictations. Now, earlier in a previous video, I said you had until Wednesday of each week to submit your dictations, but some of you are just joining us now or just recently started watching the lives. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it. So you can go back to previous lives and write the dictations for those down. And what I'll do is at the end of this month, I'll go through all the comments and all the submissions. And if you do at least 4 dictations and at least 90% of it is correct, then you will be entered to win one of those books that I just showed you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We've been desperately waiting for the board's decision because we can't proceed with the project. Do you have any idea when the vote will take place? It doesn't make sense that they're still deliberating the best course of action. So go ahead and write what you think you heard me say in the comment section. And if at least 90% of it is correct, then you're one step closer to being entered to win one of my favorite books. Awesome. Notice how I haven't said excited a lot. You know, in previous videos, I used to say I'm so excited, I'm excited, but really working on that, not using the word excited as much. I just thought I'd throw that out there, just to point it out. So let's do Ask Anything. Tell us what's happening in the US. Are people really protesting? Why don't you talk about it? Okay, so if you follow American news and what's been happening, there have been people protesting every day for at least a week and a half, going on 2 weeks now. And basically, a black man, an African American man, died on live camera. Because officers were holding him down, and one officer in particular had his knee on the man's neck. And despite the man saying he couldn't breathe, he was having trouble, the officer did not remove his knee, and as a result, the man died of asphyxiation. And prior to that, there was another incident that happened where a white woman weaponized her white privilege to call 911 to say that an African American man was threatening her life and the life of her dog. And the outrage that brought on led to these protests, because I don't necessarily think it's because of just this one incident, but in the US there's been systemic racism, and you hear people say that and it's like, what does that mean? Racism that is very much ingrained in the system and how things work here. And this is not the first time a black man has died in the hands of the police. It's not the first time that a white woman has called the police on a black person. But I think that what's happened is people are just tired. You know, we say that this is a land that is free, that's welcoming of everyone. But every single time you hear a story of a black person dying at the hands of a white person, it hurts. And I have been very intentional about not talking about it on Speak Right Play on the platform, because I want this platform to be very much English related, but I understand that some of you might want to contribute to the conversations that are going on. And so you want to hear some of the English as it relates to what's happening, about the injustice that's taking place. And so, this past week, in some of our exercises, I tried to incorporate a little bit of the terminologies and sentences and all of that, but it's been very intentional. I don't talk about it. To be quite honest with you, I have shed so many tears for the man that died, George Floyd. And like over several days, I cried. I bawled for this man. To think that another human being could have his knee on this man's neck and not relent, even when people are saying, you're hurting him, he can't breathe, take your knee off of him. And so the way he died, like he was some sort of savage, just broke my heart. And so for me, I just, as a black person too, living in America, it's hard. It's very challenging to witness these things and to experience them firsthand. Because I can never take off my black skin. I can never stop being black. And so I have to go through life with the understanding that at any point in time, something like this can happen to me. So why don't I talk about it? Why don't we talk about it on Speak Right Play? I live it. So, I understand and I respect the people who are being very vocal about it. But for me, the way that I'm choosing to deal with it in a more private way. So that's why you don't see a lot of the discussions and we don't protest. We didn't black out this past Tuesday. We kept doing our lessons for that reason. And so, yeah, the protesting is happening. People are angry. People are upset. And I think what's being repeated over and over is, we wouldn't have to protest if you heard us. If you listened to us when we were trying to do things peacefully, when we were trying to have conversations and open dialogue. And so when people protest, action happens, change happens. And so I think that's what's happening. Now, rioting is a little bit different. Rioting is when things become violent. I'm not a proponent of rioting, but definitely protesting and making your voice heard. It's important. We have to do it. Otherwise, change doesn't take place. Can you review commas, mainly advanced usages? So I know who sent this one. And I will tell you that this week, beginning tomorrow, during our early morning lessons, we will begin reviewing some of the comma rules. Now, if you want to have a deep understanding of grammar and punctuation, I highly encourage you, give me 6 weeks, 2 hours a week. And I guarantee you by the end of that, you will have such a great understanding of English, grammar, vocabulary, sentence writing, all of that in the persuasive writing course. So if that's your goal, to improve your grammar and your sentences and your writing, I just ask you, give me 6 weeks. 6 weeks together, and I promise you will understand and you will learn, and it would be a great tool to you. But what we'll do is we'll just share bits and tidbits of some of the main rules, like the important rules of when to use commas. You'd be surprised. There are at least 10 rules that I go through in the persuasive writing course of when to use commas and how to use them correctly. So look forward to the lessons being done this week. And then we'll do reinforcement through the various activities that we have throughout the course of the day. And then the last question, I want to speak English faster. What can I do? I would say that to increase your pace, you should take a text, nothing super long, don't do more than a paragraph, and read through that text multiple times. And do that a couple times a day, or a couple days a week, right? So like the pronunciation perfection text that we did earlier, I could take it and I can read it and then do it again. Do it for like 5 minutes. Just read through that same text. And every time you read, you begin the text again. Go a little bit faster. Time yourself, right? So read through the text at a normal pace. And let's say it takes you 2 minutes. Then do it again, but put yourself on a 90-second clock. Do it again, put yourself on a 1-minute clock. The more practice you have forming those words, your ears are listening to what you're supposed to be saying, then your pace will start to increase. And don't just read academic text. Don't just read stuff from newspapers. Try to read books. Try to read novels. Fiction, nonfiction, it doesn't matter. But try to read text that also has dialogue of what people would say, that has different sentence structures and all of that. So that is one thing I would suggest if you're trying to speak faster, so that you can get used to the words and the sounds and all of that. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I am so appreciative of you. Check out the video I did with Sherwin. If you're interested in the online persuasive writing course, registration ends this week. You can save $30 by entering LTC. It's going to be in the description. And check us out. Subscribe to the channel here. Turn on your notifications. Go to Twitter. We're doing some great stuff there. Instagram. We're doing really cool stuff on Instagram and Facebook, like stuff you don't see on Twitter. And YouTube is about to get a facelift, meaning we're about to change some aspects of the channel and make it cooler. I want to hear your input. I want to know what you want us to be doing on these different platforms. So shoot me an email, info@speakwriteplay.com, or write in the comments section, send me a DM on Twitter, or Instagram or Facebook. Really, on any platform you can get in touch with us, and I would love to hear from you.